Hey, this is the reveal of the Chevy Blazer EV. This is the brand new Chevy Blazer that runs on electrons and not gas, and it's looking pretty good. We're here in Los Angeles, the Pacific Design Center, and I'm standing in front of the RS. So let's take a look at it. We're gonna get into the features and specs and pricing in this video. And then tomorrow we're gonna get an in-depth walk around, check out the interior much more in depth, so stay tuned for that. Let's check it out. So the range on this is gonna be up to 320 miles, which is pretty good. And this is obviously directly aimed at the Mustang Mach-E. That is where this is going. This is the Chevy versus Ford battle all over again. And tell me what you think of the looks of this. It's looking pretty good to me. So this is based on the Ultium platform, and this is gonna come in 4 different trim levels, really 3. The fourth one is actually a police vehicle. So let's take a closer look here. So this is gonna be available in front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive. And the SS version, which this is gonna be all-wheel drive, and it's gonna have up to 557 horsepower. And that's gonna be pretty quick because they're talking about 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. And from a design aesthetic, I think it's looking pretty good. It sort of looks like the current Blazer, but much more elongated and rounded and much more sort of athletic and muscular. Let's see if we can get a side profile shot of it here. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. So there are multiple different trim levels. I am sitting in the back of the SS right now, and you can look at the design here. You've got what sort of looks like jet engines. This is very reminiscent of the Camaro. So you can see in the center stack here, you've got these very, very rounded vents, which definitely have a sort of turbine look. I might even say a little bit cyberpunk. Is that too much to say that? We've got a 17.7-inch display wrapping around the dash and in front of the driver too. And we've got some very, very nice materials in here too. This is leather. We've got some nice stitching, and there's a lot of room back here. I'm sitting in the back seat and I've got a ton of space behind the passenger. Display looks quite bright. It's obviously a touch screen, and we've got a very, very big moonroof over here too. In fact, it extends all the way back. So this is a very spacious, big cabin. And this sort of reminds me of the Camaro, and it also has a little bit of the Corvette vibe in here too. All right, so here's the back. There's a fair bit of space. This is obviously the mid-size segment, and these seats do fold down. Now the battery in this Ultium design is sitting really low. It's basically a skateboard type design. So the battery is sitting right down here, and they can stack as many or as few batteries as they want, so you can basically get a trade-off between performance, range, acceleration, and weight. And that's one of the advantages of this sort of skateboard style platforms. Now you can DC fast charge. This port is going to be electric, and it's going to open up I guess when you touch it, although this is obviously not a final production version here. You're going to be able to DC fast charge up to 190 kilowatts, which is pretty quick actually. That is quicker than the Mustang Mach-E, which is obviously the target that they're going after here. And they say that you should be able to get about 78 miles of range within 10 minutes. Now you got this very distinct light bar here in front, and actually it is a little bit functional too. Aside from just looking cool, this light bar can tell you your state of charge. So when you're charging, it's going to pulse, and the quicker it pulses, that means the closer you are to getting a full charge, which is pretty cool. And obviously we don't really have a traditional grille here. We've got something which is much more sleek. You don't need to get air in there to cool an engine like you do in a traditional gas car. And you'll be able to charge this overnight at your house on a level 2 charger, which is going to take you probably about 8 hours, something like that. Typical level 2, you're going to be able to charge at 11 kilowatts or so at your home charger on a 240 circuit. So this is the RS trim in a little bit different color scheme here. This is smaller wheels. The SS that we just looked at, that has 22-inch wheels. I believe these are 21s. These are 21s. So this is a little bit of slightly lower level trim. This doesn't have leather here. It has, looks like imitation leather, and It's obviously sort of a simpler kind of design. We've got some nice sort of faux carbon fiber over here. Again, we've got this beautiful moonroof, sunroof, whatever you want to call it. And of course the same design aesthetic all the way through. Now, Chevrolet just announced recently, or rather GM just announced, that they have partnered with Pilot and Flying J, which is a truck stop that you're going to find on major interstates. And they are partnering with them and EVgo to provide chargers. In fact, they're planning to build out 500 stations worth of chargers and 2,000 individual chargers in the next couple of years, along with EVgo. So that's a pretty good solution for charging in the road. And I think it's better than what we see right now with things like Electrify America, for example, who tend to have their chargers at places like Walmart. And when you're on the freeway, you need to get off the freeway, so to go charge at a Walmart or somewhere else. So this is going to be along the freeway, which is a big advantage, and that's going to bring this a lot closer to sort of a Tesla-style charging solution. Now, they're going to be using an open standard, the CCS standard, which means you're going to be able to take your Chevy Blazer EV to pretty much any charger, and I guess potentially Tesla charges in the future too. So here it is from the driver's view. Looks like we got a heads-up display over here too. We got some more physical controls over here. We've got physical controls on the steering wheel, which is very nice. And interestingly enough, there is no center trackpad or dial or anything like that. Looks like there's some storage up here, which doesn't open. I'm assuming this would open too at some point, but that is, binnacle is closed. And there's a fair bit of storage down in the doors too. There's also in the back doors. I'm not sure if there's anything under the hood, if there's a frunk in here or not. Let me see if I can find out. So I'm gonna put the pricing up on screen right now, but what's gonna happen in terms of that is the 2LT, which is gonna be available first, is gonna be at $47,595. The RS, which is also going to be available in summer 2023, along with the 2LT, is going to be $51,995. And this SS that we're looking at, that's going to be available a little later in 2022, that's going to be $65,995. And then in 2024, the 1LT, which is the base version, is going to be $44,995. So very similar to the Ford pricing with this. Very competitive, also competitive with things like the VW ID4. No word on pricing on the police special. I'd like to get a hold of one of those. That could be a lot of fun. Obviously going to have a little more downgrade interior. So cop car, pretty cool. Also, the cop car is going to get Brembo brakes, which I'm assuming, well, it doesn't look like the SS has Brembo brakes, so interesting. Now, I know a lot of people still have questions about the cost of EV charging versus gasoline, and there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, but I own an EV personally. I can tell you that it is far cheaper to drive an EV than it is to drive my gas car. There's no comparison. It's probably about a third of the price, something like that, maybe even a little bit less if I'm charging at home. It is very inexpensive to charge your vehicle at home, and even charging on the road is a lot less expensive too. So I think this is the way that Chevy and a lot of other manufacturers are moving right now. There's a lot of really interesting EVs coming out in this space. Chevy is throwing their name into the hat. They're throwing the Blazer EV into the ring. And I think this looks very, very good to me. I think this is going to be successful. I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow with an in-depth walkthrough of the vehicle, hands-on, get to ask the designers some questions. So let me know if there's any questions you want me to ask them. My name is Eric. Thanks so much for watching. There's another video on screen right here, and that is going to be the in-depth walkthrough.